Call of Duty Black Ops 2, the greatest Call of Duty of all time, and much like any great video game, it has a bunch of great features, and it wouldn't be a Call of Duty game if one of those features weren't the guns. One weapon class that always seems to be universally loved by Call of Duty players is the snipers. Everyone may not be the best at it or even that good at it at all, but we all love the idea of using them and the actual practice of using them. Snipers have also been some of the most iconic guns in Call of Duty, dating all the way back to the M40A3 with the ACOG sights from COD 4, the intervention from MW2, a gun that has just made a return with the new MW2. There's also the DSR and the ballista from Black Ops 2 and a whole bunch more across all of the other titles not mentioned. But one sniper flew under the radar for the longest time. One gun that was great in its own way that just never got the recognition, and that was the SVU-AS. It's a semi-automatic sniper that can one-tap people in the head in multiplayer and is also pretty good at doing that in zombies, which is exactly where I'll be taking it today. So around 50 with the SVU. I'm sure my mental is still going to be in high spirits by the end of this. I hope. Starting us off, we have Dire Eyes. Yeah, I know this is a weird one, but yeah, I actually don't know how to defend this choice. No, it was weird. So Dire Eyes, yeah, I don't really know why, but this seemed like a good idea at first. And while this map has been alright to me in the past when it comes to snipers, so why not? We start off in the spawn room, grinding together some points. End of round 2, whilst I had a little under 2,500 points, I headed off to the SVU Warbuy. Now this is where I make my first mistake of this run. After buying the SVU, I decided that I was going to hang out in my training spot for a couple of rounds and gather some points before going off to do all of the other necessary things. At this round, it seemed like a good idea. Zombies on these lower rounds don't stand a chance against a gun of this caliber, but you know what does stand a chance against a sniper on a low round? That's right, the jumping jacks. Round 5 they spawn in, and in my naive brain I thought this would be a doddle. I was very wrong. Right off the bat I thought that maybe I could use my knife and maybe get a free perk, only to find out almost immediately that that was a very stupid idea and I almost got myself killed. But I managed to buy Quick Revive just in time to prevent me from, actually dying. In fact, I bought it just in time before I take an actual down because, well, spoilers, trying to shoot one of these jacked up ADHD goblins with a sniper no less is a bit harder than it looks. Thankfully, after reviving, there was only 2 of them left and I managed to survive. Power was turned on by the beginning of the next round and the perks in the power room were Double Tap and Mule Kick. Not the ideal perks I would have liked here, but I thought nothing of it. Round 6 was where shit began to get real and also where I realized that doing this on Dire Eyes was a pretty dumb idea. You see, Dire Eyes is a map where movement is key, and when you have a sniper, that gets a little difficult. So I basically hunkered down in the power room and just hoped for the best. Round 6 I got through without too many difficulties. Just point and click and you'll be fine. Round 7, however, not so much. There was more sprinters now and my aim fell off a cliff, leading me to get trapped. I pulled some jukes out of somewhere and just about kept myself alive, and just as I thought I pulled off one of the best clutches I've done, I get the old 2-tap special and I'm dead. So round 7, quite a bit off our round 50 goal, so I ran it back. The second attempt had much of what the first had. I got the SVU pretty early on, but instead of messing about grinding points, I went straight for power. But instead of just going back up to spawn and moving through the map that way, I went on my own little adventure all over the gaff and didn't get to power until round 5. This time in the power room, I had exactly the perks I wanted in Jug. Also, the nice addition of Pack-a-Punch. But Jug was definitely the attraction for me right now. Now, I'd love to sit here and say this was the run, but it wasn't. You see, I went on to have probably one of the worst round 6s of my life. I cleared all the zombies until there was only maybe 1 or 2 left, and I'm now sitting on a nice chunk of cheddar, so I'm thinking Jug is on the cards. I'm stood there looking up in the elevator shaft just to see if the perk is moving back down to me, until I then shafted myself By falling in. Just straight up fell in and lost the first shot of my quick revive. But it's not that big of a deal. I rebuy my perk and off I go to get Jug. Shortly later, Jug is acquired and I can finally get back on with it. Before I took out the final zombie, I thought to myself, next round will probably be jumping jacks. I'm gonna get the Bowie knife. But I got stuck in two minds as to whether I should or shouldn't actually buy the Bowie knife. But I eventually decided I was going to buy it. So right as I jump in the shaft, the lift moves up and I get crushed to death. Once again, just fully screwing myself over, and at this point, I'm pretty tilted, but I gotta get on with it, right? Next round, I buy speed and take out the jumping jacks. Now I've gotta get my points back, so I'm stood on my spot, taking out zombies, until the Hulk of all zombies comes running up to me, tanks 2 rounds from the SVU on round 8, bear in mind, and then proceeds to beat the piss out of me. So, yeah, die-rise really wasn't a good idea, so off to Buried I went. I know Buried is a bit of a cop-out, but yeah, shut up, alright? Just after those first 2 attempts, there's only one map that can save this gun. Straight off the rip, I head down to get things rolling. We get Leroy out of his cell, and on round 1, we also get the gunsmith open. I place down the SVU and get it bought. I also placed down a few more gun chugs just for a few extra points. Round 3, I got power turned on and then proceeded to get both Jug and Speed on round 5. At this point, there was only one thing left to do, and that was to get double tap and pack a punch. So at the end of the next round, that's exactly what I did. And I gotta say, using a sniper to get through the mansion, not the most fun I've ever had. Feel like I'm about to get jump scared by some spooky witch as I aim. Of course, my free perk as well was Mule Kick, because you just knew it would. After about 5 minutes of running around the maze like an idiot, I finally got myself down into Pack-a-Punch. I cleared out round 7 and upgraded the SVU to the Shadowy Veil Utilizer. And I'm not gonna lie, I don't know how I feel about that name. To my disappointment, you can only pack-a-punch the SVU once, meaning I was going to be stuck with the annoying sniper scope the entire game. But I got used to it pretty quickly. Instead of heading back to the main part of the map, I opted to get a little bit of practice in, and by that I mean camping out in the Pack-a-Punch room. During my AN94 round 50, I learned that camping in the Jug tunnel isn't actually a bad strat, even when using regular guns. But this time, using a sniper just felt like a bit of a death trap. But to my surprise, the SVU was actually doing well at keeping me alive. Probably to do with the fact that nothing stands a chance against this thing. Granted, of course, you can actually hit them in the head. My plan was to hang about in the Pack-a-Punch until about round 15, but those plans got ruined when I took it down on round 12. I had an insta-kill and thought maybe it'd be a good idea to try and get some extra points out of it. Problem came when that insta-kill ended and I wasn't paying attention. I get bombarded by zombies with a pistol in my hands, which is basically the same as being caught with your pants down, and out of panic I couldn't swap into my sniper in time and I end up taking the down. Luckily, I had the Tombstone perma-perk running and it managed to save a few of my perks. Well, all except Quick Revive. As I had overstayed my welcome, the lights were back on in the mansion, meaning that when I headed back, I got another free perk, which was Vulture Aid. A good perk, yes, but when I can only get Quick Revive from those drops, wasn't really the one I wanted. This, however, was when the real fun began. After my little warm-up, even though it ended in failure, I was confident for this to work. So I backed up into my little hole and got blasting. Please don't take that out of context. Round 13 to 20 was probably the easiest rounds of my life. The SVU was relentless and everything that showed its face, well, lost it. The confidence was booming, much like a fat kid when he has a Mars bar in his hand. And I honestly felt unstoppable, and quite frankly, I was. Yes, there were a few shaky moments where my butt was clenched, like here in round 29, but the SVU just bullied its way out of every possible death trap. In fact, I made it to round 30 in a breeze. Even more so the fact that I still hadn't even thought about leaving to go and get Quick Revive. Now, that might have been down to a little bit of cockiness, but yeah, leave it out, yeah? The combination of the SVU double tap, Vulture Aid, and possibly some perma-perk juju was working overtime and wonders as I cruised my way through the 30s. However, every round I beat, there was a part of me that was growing ever more skeptical. You see, up to this point, being round 35, I was one-shotting everything, as long as I was hitting headshots, and a part of me every single round was sure that that round would be the last one-shot round, but it never was, and this continued all the way until round 39. Round 39, one round from 40 with the SVU. Rounds 37 and 38 had been a little dicey at times, but I kept making it through, and that was the same thought process on this round. Things began a little hectic, and in more of the later rounds, I had been using Volt Trade Stink Clouds just to give me some space and allow me to take out zombies from a distance, and honestly in peace. But there was always going to be a round where my tactics would hit a stop sign, and this was the round. I leave my den of safety for a max ammo, and with the use of Stink Clouds, I get it and make it back into my hole. Problem came afterwards when all of the zombies just relentlessly piled into my tunnel one after another, non-stop, and before long it was getting a little too crowded, but the SVU kept pushing them back. Well, until it didn't. A Stink Cloud dropped that would have saved my life, but every time I tried to push forward, the zombies pushed back twice as hard, and before long it was game over. I get overrun, and there's nothing me nor the SVU can do, and then it was done. Round 39 and the SVU was finally beaten. And I'm not gonna lie, round 39 is way better than I ever thought I was going to do with this gun. Like, way better. I'm not sure when the SVU would have stopped being a one-shot, whether it was round 40, round 41. There's definitely a few more rounds you can squeeze out of this thing, but today, I guess round 39 is all we're gonna get. But with that, thank you very much for watching, and as always, I'll see you all in the next one.